Blog Talk Radio.
Good evening, everyone. This is me, Jonathan Alexander, and I'm here to host our show, Life After Happiness. Today, I'm here and I'm waiting on my co-host, Barbara. Should be here soon. And she and I, we're going to talk to you about what the show means to us, you know. So, I'm going to wait for her. And let me see here. I just texted her. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, let's see. Oh, there she is. Okay.
Who?
Hey, Barbara.
Hi, everybody.
How are you?
Great. How are you, Johnny?
Good. Good.
How is
Everything
everybody
okay?
out there in Radio
Great.
Land?
Wonderful.
Great.
I was telling everybody.
Hey, Johnny.
Today we're gonna,
How was your Thanksgiving?
Oh, it was good. There was a lot of food, as usual. And we're still eating the rest of it, you know.
Oh, that's good.
Now, how was your Thanksgiving?
It was great. First, we had such a wonderful, I think, sorry, Mom, but just Thanksgiving dinner turkey was so good, and the stuffing. I had it in Mexico with a group of people. The group of people were a part of the charity organization that I am an ambassador for called Beauty Saving the World. And after we fed ourselves, we went and fed a whole village of impoverished people who are so poor they don't have running water. And we put together 150 bags of food. And Kurt, who we have had on the show before, my agent and my best friend, he does this once a month for this village. And so it's almost one bag of food can last them a few weeks. So it's so helpful. And it was just a wonderful experience to go on this mission. I've been an ambassador for Kurt for many years as a spokesperson, but this was my first hands-on mission. So it was wonderful, you know, to give like that. So thank you for asking.
Well, that's great.
Thank
now,
you.
I mean, today we're going to be talking about, we agree this is what we do, is we were talking about what this show means to us. And you were the one that suggested this topic. Why don't you just start off? Why don't you start? Why don't you tell us why you chose this topic?
Okay. It was more not about what it means to me. It is more about how it has changed my life. So I guess that's kind of the same thing. And I just wanted to say the first thing I noticed was I finally had a schedule, because being a model and actress for 30 years, almost 30 years, you're an independent contractor and you don't have a regular schedule. And you know what? I think that people in general, they like to have a schedule, because sometimes, you know, they wake up and, hey, what if we're not a good boss that day to ourselves? We're not going to get a lot done, right? So it really was great, because before 4:45 every day, and the first year, by the way, everybody, we did this 7 days a week, and I would just have a goal to get so many things, and I was able to prioritize my time better, because I knew, okay, I need to get these things done before the show starts, because after the show is over at 6:30 and all these things are going to be closed. So I really loved finally having a structure in life. And that has helped me immensely to be more productive. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, it feels like
That's the first thing. Now you tell me. I'm sorry. What was that?
No, I didn't say anything. Go on.
Okay, that was the first thing I noticed after starting the show about a year and a half, a little more than a year and a half ago. Now you tell me what has changed. Not 12 years ago when you were just doing it once in a while by yourself.
Right.
But once you got your team of people, how did it change you once you had more of a structure?
Well, I think it made me realize what I wanted to do. And, you know, it's like it's one thing to ask to be well known. It's another thing to ask if you're well known, what is the message that you want to be given out? Sort of like, I mean, it's sort of like, you know, there's more to fame just being noticed. You want to ask yourself, how do you want to be noticed? You understand?
Right.
And I think that what I like to be noticed is I love having conversations that are shared. I love telling people, bring their friends to the conversations. I really love that. That's actually the most enjoyable part, is to tell, like, you know, is to say I can, like, bring my friend on the show just as much as, you know, you can go into a room or, you know, and I'm not trying to turn the subject back on you, but what I'm trying to say is I actually enjoy knowing that you're going to talk to the people about the show because, you know, you have that ability to do that. And I could be like,
but why do you like friends on the show? Because you like to help them?
Well, yeah. Well, what it is it helps everybody just give them a chance to talk and be open and be heard. And a lot of times these people that we bring on, they've sort of been talked to, but by somebody else's terms. Like, I really believe that, like, for example, you know, Tylen John, okay? She was a lady who was a playmate, so a lot of times if you're going to interview a playmate, the playmate doesn't set the ground rules for the interview. The person giving the interview does. Whereas last night, we got to talk about a topic that really meant a lot to her. Does that make sense?
Well, yes, that's wonderful. And also say that we have a scientist on or a lawyer. Well, I didn't go to law school, and I'm not a scientist. So basically, that person can realize, hey, you're not at the university. We didn't just take a year full of lessons from you, you know? So you have to go really back to basics. And I think that generally the public out there is like that unless they are in that field. So then they are reaching so many more people and giving them so much more knowledge than just going and being a philosopher and a teacher at their school. They can come on our show and reach so many more people. That's what I love. I know you love my friends coming on. You feel like you give them a voice because they are playmates, models, actresses, even though I have a lot of other types of friends too. But why don't you just tell us who specifically you are talking about? And because you had mentioned that they are usually talked to in certain terms. So what are you talking about exactly?
Well, let me explain what I mean. Okay, I'll explain to you what I mean. There was and, you know, I know you don't, you know, you told me not to mention 12 years ago, but I might as well go ahead because this is an example.
Johnny, I didn't say 12 years ago you can't talk about it. I just said I'm wondering how it changed with the team of people.
I
no,
see. Okay,
go
well, then
talk about whatever you want to talk about. I mean, there's no rules
I'll go ahead
here.
and I'll give you an example. Okay, sometimes the interviews, you know, are basically done. They're not meant to even learn anything about the person. They're just meant to provide entertainment value. It's sort of like I've seen interviews with models like you, and during the interview, these models will make up stories, things that happened, like we had sex in an airplane or something, or they didn't have sex in an airplane, and that it's like you don't have to do all that. I mean, your world, the real world for you is interesting enough. Like the idea that you come home, the whole thing about going to Mexico is real, everyone. I mean, she really does go to Mexico. I've seen the pictures from the train. I would rather hear about the real world than some made-up stuff like, well, I was in the bathtub and there was candles and everything. I mean, I'm talking about the real world,
Well, yes, I get it. And also, I've noticed when we do interview the playmates that the one question that I feel like they feel like I feel it, that they feel like, oh, I have to make it juicy. I have to make it sexy. When we ask about what was the most crazy time that you had at the mansion, or how do you word it? That's the question you always ask.
Well, I said funniest, but I don't think funniest necessarily needs to be wild.
No,
I
funniest.
mean, wild. No,
okay, can I finish my point, please?
Go right ahead.
Please. Okay.
Right.
All right. You ask them, what is the funniest moment, time you had at the Playboy Mansion? And I could always sense that they're trying to answer something like wild and sexy, but we aren't wanting that. We are wanting the funniest, But
I know.
It's embedded in them and ingrained in them that they think that people want to hear the sexy stuff part. And it's like, I get it. And it's like, that's not fair. That's not fair to them to always feel like, okay, they're only going to like my answer if it's sexy. So I get it. That is my point.
Yeah, I didn't realize that they were feeling that. I didn't realize that.
Well, because you're not psychic.
Or maybe I am, but I didn't really pick up on that aspect of it.
Okay.
I mean, how would you ask that question be worded differently to make it sound a little bit like maybe it's not meant to sound?
Okay, my point is that it is fine. The point is the question is perfectly fine the way you ask it.
Right.
My point is the way that they're thinking is they're thinking, oh, we probably want a sexy answer. That's my point. It's not about your question is wrong. I'm just saying I feel the feeling that they think that they may have to answer sexy. Okay, if you guys don't get it, I'm sorry. I don't know how much more
I
can explain that.
a good example of it is like, I'll give you a good example. I mean, this is something that, and the examples that have been given to me don't necessarily mean sexy. They actually read about funny. Like, for example, we had Kathy St. George on, and I remember something that Kathy St. George. You were in the room with Kathy St. George, and then you stood up, and this is the way I remember the story. And you were like, "Oh God, I love this life that we're living in. It's just so wonderful," or something like that. And then Kathy St. George chimed in, and she goes, "Barbara, what life are you talking about, and where can I go there?" or something. You remember what I'm talking about?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like, that's funny. There's the one where. Then there was the one, I think it was when Brandy Roderick, I think, made some comment about the dish by the jacuzzi. I mean,
I don't remember.
I think the funny thing is what?
A dish by the jacuzzi. Well,
like
don't
a glass by the jacuzzi.
What were you talking about? There's a dish by the jacuzzi. Can you tell us what you're referring to? I can't remember. And now I'm wondering.
Something like Hugh Hefner apparently was saying, who stole my glass? Might have been another playmate, but I think it was Brandy Roderick or something. I don't know. I think the impression that I sort of get is that people, there have been times when they interact with Hugh Hefner, and they think that that if you screw up once, he's going to kick you out. And on one hand, there is that he was protective of you. Is that he made sure that you weren't hurt. But it does strike me as a real relaxed kind of person. I mean, he walked around in pajamas.
Yeah, plus, he's not going over hundreds and hundreds of playmates' actions. He has employees that do that for him. So, yeah, if you are bad, you are brought in and you are talked to, and there are repercussions. They don't want people out there. They don't want girls out there making out with each other while there's paparazzi and, like, crawling on pool tables on their hands and knees. They don't want that behavior. If they hear about it, they will call you in. They didn't want you to go be a prostitute in Brunei. If you did that, they would call you in, and then you would not be allowed to work for who knows how long. If you made a scene at the mansion and got plastered, you would be not invited for a while. I mean, yeah, no, you were in trouble if you did something wrong. You were.
Or if you
didn't just let anything go. I mean, he didn't just let anything go.
No, I know, but I think there was like one time where I think he was dating, somebody was dating a butler or something. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, Tina Backrath, and she married him. But that was a rule that you were not supposed to date the butler, so she had to keep it secret. But by the time Kimberly Conrad came along and married Hess, the rules started bending a little bit, and she's like, you know what? Who cares? It's fine. Go for it. And that
No,
changed.
where is Kimberly Conrad?
I've always really liked her. She lives right next door to the Playboy Mansion. And she has since they split up, and there's a tunnel, so the chefs would still make her dinner, her and the kids' dinner every night and bring it to her. And, she still had all the services. It was a very amicable breakup, even though it broke Heff's heart, though. He really loved her. He really did.
Wow.
Yeah.
Maybe it would be great if we
her.
could have her
She
on
took me out
series.
to sushi a couple of times when I stayed at the mansion. She was very nice to me.
You think we could have her on for the series? Do you think we could have her on for the series?
I doubt it, because she doesn't do things like that. I mean, when was the last time you saw her do an interview for anybody? She's very quiet. She's very private. I don't remember any. But, hey, be my guest. Ask her, Johnny. You know the protocol.
Okay.
Johnny does the asking. And just say my name. And they usually want to do it, which is, that's another thing about this show. That makes me feel good, because, all these playmates we've been interviewing, they want to do it. And I haven't talked to them for a long time, sometimes many years. And now this is like the biggest thing that's happened to me with doing the show, is to get reacquainted with these wonderful women that, we've been drift apart. And now look at how many I'm reacquainted with again. Plus, there's some that we interview that I have never even met. And so it's just, that part is just so fun for me and enjoyable. And I mean, I wake up and I'm smiling because I'm like, oh, wow, I hadn't even talked to Thailand for like 15, 20 years, and now we're planning a trip to Puerto Rico together.
What I love is that one of the things that I love is when I hear the stories from these women about you. I'll give you an example. I think it was Thailand that told me the story. She goes, apparently Thailand told me this story, and so did Kathy St. George, that whenever you've had too much to drink, you love to get up and stand up and show everybody that you can dance.
I think it's when I drink and don't drink. Well,
yeah. Now, is that true?
No, I don't even think that I change, except for I maybe I'm a little more giggly, but I'm a dancer. Hello, so it doesn't take alcohol to get me to dance. I can dance. I competed for 8 years straight. That's a lot of discipline. So I have no trouble dancing in front of people. I don't need alcohol, so that's kind of odd. But thanks for pointing that out. Jeez.
That's what they say.
Thanks for pointing that out to everybody. I really appreciate that.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Okay, anyway, I'm glad we had this talk about the show. It's been great.
But I mean, let me ask you this. I mean, what show do you think? Do you have a favorite show that we've done?
Oh gosh, let's see.
All right, I'll tell you what.
I love this Amy Gleason. She was amazing. And then remember, I got in trouble because I took over the show and the other host didn't like it but I'm like, well, she wasn't asking any questions. It's like, here we have this woman who goes to the Anaconda and is trying to find vaccines, and this is an amazing journey and an amazing woman who has written books about her adventures, and they don't even have any questions. But then I have questions,
actually,
but I get in trouble
and
then she goes and says, "Well, Barbara took over the show." Well, yeah, but you didn't have any questions. So that.
I have a question. I want you to give your top
five. That would have been
five.
my favorite. If she wouldn't have gotten jealous about it, then that would have been my favorite.
What is your top five?
As far as the Playboy Playmate series, I really loved Christine Richter's. And I think it's because I never got to know her. I didn't really know her. So it was just really just like from the heart, raw questions. Like a lot of times, let me just clarify. A lot of times I know these playmates really well. So when I ask the question, sometimes I already do know the answer. But I'm doing this because of the audience, and I want the audience to be able to hear the story. But with her, I didn't know any of what her answers were going to be. And it's just the way she talked, and she was clear, and she was just really a good interview, don't you think?
Yeah, I would say if I had to pick my top five, I would say it would be the Kathy St. George one. And these aren't in order. These are just top five. The reason I say Kathy St. George is that I could listen to the two of you talk all day. I mean, because of the way that, it's like, you talk and then boom, talk and then boom, talk and go back and forth, talk and then boom, boom, boom. And then another one is Tyler and John, same thing. I mean, it's like, I can listen to you talk, boom, talk, go back and forth.
She's my favorite, too.
I think Elke Jensen, I loved her voice. I loved how, she sounded on the air, it's wonderful, yes. I loved how she talked.
Well, I liked what she talked about. I mean, I know you think she's sexy because she is, and that's cool. She's foreign and she's very alluring. But I loved what she was talking about because, hey, she's one that was from Germany that became an American Playboy Playmate, and that was really interesting because a lot of people don't know how that worked at all because really it seems like it kind of works the same for everybody in America. So that was cool interviewing a foreign Playmate.
And I think that, yeah, no, I do think that those are for me, and I think the ones where I do love it when we have Dale on because I think Dale's very is very soothing. So there's no, and my favorite one of Dale was the one when she found out that about the channel. I love the way we showed it to her. She goes, television show. What? Nobody tells me anything. What?
Well, the funniest thing, though, Johnny, sorry to interrupt, the funniest thing about that is that she kept telling us. We didn't want to say anything because we weren't ready to launch. We weren't ready to tell everybody. So the funny part of it was that she kept telling us, since she's the psychic, oh, I see a television show coming in your future. Oh, she did this for a few weeks. Oh, I'm seeing a television show. It's going to be TV for you. It's going to be TV for you, Barbara. And you're like, she already has one. She already has one. We already have a
my
show.
favorite. I think my fifth one I would have to say would be the one that we did yesterday with the Tyler and John, because I think that really brought out a subject that you were really, really important to you, and it was sort of
well,
like,
look how that happened, Johnny. I manifested it. I've been talking forever about, like, remember with Rebecca Fearing, the self-help lady, how I wanted a dog so badly. And you know what? Then we had her on again, Rebecca, and she's like, Barbara, did you get the dog yet? I'm like, no. And then I just said, you know what? I know it's just all going to happen. It's just all going to fall into place because I know there's a perfect dog out there waiting for me. And lo and behold, Tyler John comes on, and I find out that she rescues dogs everywhere, but a lot in Puerto Rico. And now we have the whole plan for me to go do a mission with her, rescue dogs, and and I know my dream dog is there waiting for me. Can you believe
now,
this? This is called
manifestation.
This is called manifestation.
What's your top 5? Do you have a top 5?
Well, since we've done, like me, I done 300, 400 shows. I can't just say, one from yesterday and one from the week before. No, I would have to look through everything because there are so many good ones from a year ago or 6 months ago or 5 months ago. I mean, there are so many
how about
like
I mention
that.
It, and then you tell me what you remember about it. For example, the Shauna Sand interview.
Why are we talking all about the Playboy Playmate interviews?
Okay.
What about George
Fitchlow,
the lawyer?
That was good.
That was a good one. That was one of my favorites. But no, we have to always talk about the Playmate.
Well, no, I mean, I'm not saying you did. I'm just saying that,
she's my friend. Yeah, she was great. It was wonderful talking to her again. You know, I mean, I wouldn't say, oh, gosh, that was my favorite show. So the answer is no. I'm sorry I'm, like, being snappy, but it's like, does the audience know that I've done, 350 shows, or did you lose count?
Actually,
I mean, it's not just like I've done a handful of Playmates. Okay, we have interviewed
we're up to 400 videos.
So many people.
400 shows.
Yes. So, no, Shauna is not in my top 5. And Elkie's not in my top 5. I said Christine Richter's, Tyler and John, Amy Greason, George Critchlow, and, people like that. And Tim Reese, the policeman. I mean, these people. I'm different than you.
Yeah.
I'm a woman. So I understand it's so exciting, Playboy Playmates, but to me, they're normal people. To me, they're just normal people. They're my normal friends. So I get more excited about scientists and teachers and, people like that. That's my excitement with the show. Yes, thank you for letting me do my series. And it's very interesting, and that's why I do it, to show that there's more than just a pretty face and a beautiful body. But me personally, having a chance to interview people that I never would be able to interview without this show, which I could interview Playmates without the show, but you give me the opportunity to interview all types of people, and that's what I love.
Do you talk about the show with people? Like I know that's sort of silly, but I know you must talk about it. But what do you say when you talk to people about the show?
Well, I mean, I just talk about it probably every single day on a daily basis. Plus, I'm doing the social media about it every day, and I tell them that it's positive.
I'm not talking about social media.
Okay, well, I talk about it every day to people, I just said, plus the social media, okay? But I talk about it to people every day, and they're like, oh, how long have you been doing it? A year and a half. Oh, really? Oh, what do you do, like one a month or something? And I'm like, no, we do it every day, pretty much, except for the weekends. They're just surprised. They're so surprised. So I have found that it's a slow, long road to get people to actually be regular listeners. But now I feel like we've had this huge breakthrough because looking at our analytics, people are now watching we have regular listeners, and to me, this is exciting. I love it. It takes a while, though. You have to, many people, including Lorenzo Lamas, who I got back together with after 15 years because he asked me to get back together with him, told me that this is just temporary for you, and then you're going to have your own. And that was so discouraging to me because I like doing the show with you, Johnny. I like doing it with
Thank you.
I think that we work so well together, and that it's like a sounding board. I'm a sounding board for you. You're a sounding board for me. And we go back and forth and talk about a lot of things, but we have pure love hearts. And we are on such the same wavelength.
No, I want to say something because I want to ask you about. I don't want to upset you with this, but it's been a while and you sort of have overcome it. But I'm just curious. I remember when you showed me the pictures of you after your fall.
Yes.
And it was. Well, it's just that and I remember there were bruises and everything. And it was like when I saw the pictures, I thought, that's sweet that she's showing me that. I want to know how many people, do you show those pictures to a lot of people?
Anybody who saw it on Facebook, because it had a GoFundMe. I had a GoFundMe page and all those pictures were up there. Did you know that?
I didn't know about that, but I mean, did you, for example, who did you show them to? Did you say, can you take a look at this?
Oh, if they hadn't seen my GoFundMe on Facebook, like that, you mean?
Yes.
And if I was just sitting next to them with my phone? Yes, I did, because I said, I fell down the stairs. They're like, ha, 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 ha. They would always laugh and think it's so funny. Did you know that 10,000 people a year die from falling down a staircase in America? It's not funny. It's very serious.
No, I know.
And
I guess what it is that I just wanted to know, how many other people saw those pictures is what I was curious about.
Thousands. Whoever was on Facebook and saw my GoFundMe and Twitter and Instagram, it was shared because where it happened, my friend's house, he made the GoFundMe for me because I had so many modeling bookings. I had to cancel in those few months that it took me to recover from that concussion and all of those, the contusions and the broken rib. And, I mean, oh, my gosh, I was just super lucky that I was that I survived that.
What were the comments that you got from that pictures?
Most people were really sad to see that, especially Ron Montez. Remember my dance friend that we had on? He was like, no, not Barbara. He told me, he goes, not Barbara, no. Because those pictures look really bad. And I even still have people contacting me today, perfect strangers, saying, are you 100% okay? I mean, they still remember it because it was bad. And I'm not 100% better. I mean, are you ever 100% better from something like that? I mean, my back hurts all the time. What was that?
I remember the first time I saw it, and I thought, boy, I hope she's somebody that will kiss her bruises.
Yeah, my little daughter.
What I was thinking. Yeah,
my daughter, because I had a husband at the time, and he refused to bring me an ice pack, so I had the wedding annulled over it. I mean, the marriage, not the wedding, the marriage.
Did your daughter ever kiss over
that? Well, I don't think she did that, but she brought me ice packs, and she was very loving and nurturing.
Okay, I'm sorry.
She also had to go to school every day and leave me there.
I'm sorry. The only reason I'm bringing these questions is that I'd like to think that you had somebody that really, really cared, that were really there for you, that cared about what happened.
No, but that's when Lorenzo saw. That's when Lorenzo saw my GoFundMe, and he called me, and I hadn't even talked to him for literally 13 years. And we actually got back together, and that was a really wonderful thing that happened, not just because we got back together because I liked him. It was because I was able to see, after all those years, I had some regrets. Maybe if I would have done things differently, it would have worked out differently. But then when I got back together with him, I realized, oh my gosh, I have no regrets. This person is not for me to be with. It's just, I don't go into the details. I wish him well with somebody else, but whoever he ends up with, I wish him well. But I mean, now that was the biggest thing that this show did for me, besides the other things I just pointed out, is that it made me realize I have no regrets in life at all. Is that great or what?
What I love is that it's helped me appreciate some of the things about you, like that I've noticed. Like I brought this up to Shauna Sand, and I said, I love the elevations in your voice. I mean, you do this. Like you'll be doing a sentence, and at the end of the sentence will be louder than the beginning of the sentence.
I know, it's not strange.
I know.
That is a compliment.
So I went out to eat with Priscilla, and there was no one there at the restaurant.
But Karen Page, who used to be on sometimes as a guest,
yeah.
She complimented me on her and Vanessa, who was another guest. Like it complimented me on the way I speak. And I just thought, I never realized that I did that. And then you, too. And then I listened back. I'm like, well, I guess I did do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. Thank you for liking it. It just naturally comes out that way.
And I was telling to somebody else about this. For some reason, I don't know why, but I was watching I Dream of Jeannie. And
what, you don't know why you were watching it?
Yeah, it's I Dream of Jeannie. I was watching I Dream of Jeannie, and I watched Jeannie on the show, and I immediately thought of you. For some reason, I don't know why. And I think it's because, even then, it doesn't matter if you know how to do it. You always want to help everybody out. And that's kind of what I noticed about Jeannie, is that Jeannie will help you out even if she doesn't know how to do it. She'll always try. And even if the solution, even if it's, and it's like you'll do everything you can to help out, whether you know how to do it or not, which is sweet. You'll be like, it's always a solution. It's like, oh God, I'll go fix that. I'll go fix that.
It gets me in a little trouble though sometimes, Johnny. You know why? Because I do that, and then people keep asking me to do it all the time. And then I get overwhelmed because I have my own things to do. Not you. I'm not talking about you. You're my business partner. That's what we have to do. But just friends. They're always asking me to do so much for them. And you know what? I'm the single mom here. I have so much of my own stuff to do. But you kind of get known as that person who can do everything. And then so you're asked all the time. So I've had to really learn how to, put up boundaries that are going to not make me upset, because it gets frustrating when they expect it. And then, why should I have to take care of all their problems? I want to help, but every single day. So it has gotten to that point, and I have had to learn how to confront people, and I'm getting better at that because of the show. And because you know why? We have self-help people on. We have counselors, therapists. We have people that dive in deep inside your head, and I benefit from that. Do you think I'm just on here not listening? I listen, and I have done a lot of work on myself, and I've gotten so good at confrontation and facing it head on and not procrastinating, and also all the technical skills and learning how all the social platforms work. And I love learning and I love working. I could be a workaholic, but all those little things, that is a lot of change that has happened to me due to the show. And it's all positive.
Thanks. I mean, do you feel like, I mean, are you more, let me ask you this, do you get, like, excited before the show, or?
Oh, yes. What goes through my mind is, this is what goes through my mind. I can feel the energy. Some people get very nervous. It's understandable. They're not doing a show every day, and they have never been on our show, but you can feel the nervous energy. And then soon, right after that, we make them feel so comfortable. But you would think going on air would make people nervous, but I love it. It's kind of like I get a little adrenaline rush a little bit. Yes, I do.
Barbara, we have a caller. Would you like to take a caller?
Sure. As long as it's not that guy who wants to marry me.
I understand. No, I screened this person. Okay. Hello, Lori.
Hi, Jonathan. Hi, Barbara. How are y'all?
Hi, Lori. I was just telling Johnny we haven't heard from you for a while. So good to hear your voice.
Well, thank you. It's good to hear your voice and good to hear how dedicated you are to the show, as well as to, of course, by all means, Barbara. You have a very beautiful voice inflection. You're too sweet.
No, well, it can get squeaky when I get excited, but thank you.
I think that's all of us.
Yeah, but I just want to point out, Lori here, she started listening to our show, and regular caller, so on, and you know what? Then she started writing and, helping us so much and just inspiring us. This was a lot. So thank you, Lori.
But you guys make it fun. You make it worthwhile. You guys have a very open, engaging, and inviting platform. And one of the best things about your show is that you never know how the show is going to go from one day to the next. So there's a lot of the surprise element, obviously in a good way, because you invite so many different topics, people, cultures, just so many different things. The show is pretty much, think of a baseball game. You get excited, you're on the edge of your seat, you got the popcorn going on, and you're ready to rock and roll, and you're ready to be entertained. And that's how I find the show. Thank you.
Do you listen to it every time, every show? Do you listen to?
I don't listen to every show, but when there's something that grabs me, or a lot of times I will tune into yours or Jonathan's energy because we've made emotional connections. So if something is going on in the ethers and I feel either one of you, I will listen to this show, and it'll relate to something that is true or something that is significant to me. And I like your spiritual shows a lot in the sense of they don't have to be psychic. I like them to be a bunch of people sharing their thoughts, their energy, their opinion on, I'll give you an example. I think there was Joyce Keller, and I think there was, I can't think of, she's one of Jonathan's friends, and she's also highly intuitive.
His birthday show.
No, not necessarily the spiritual shows, because there's been a lot of shows
Hope?
where,
Hope?
Yes, that's it. It's Hope. Right?
That was a
good show.
When she was speaking, that was a very good show. Yes, definitely was.
Hope was on the birthday show.
But she's been on other shows as well because she has a lot to offer. And yes, but I mean everybody can relate to those kind of shows where she fills in the gap. And then some of Jonathan's other friends will fill in the gap, and some of Barbara's other friends will fill in the gap. There's been so many of those spiritually based shows that I couldn't, like Barbara said earlier, I couldn't quantify, or I couldn't just basically say, okay, in June this happened, in February this happened. I can just say from the audience standpoint that those are some of the most memorable shows for me, when everyone can chime in and everybody's got, has been, there you go, everybody's been affected by the topic matter in one way.
I think I was talking a little bit. I don't know if it was you that I talked to about this earlier. I might have. It was about the Tonight Show episode. Yes, it was. It was you that I talked to about this. It was about the Tonight Show episode with Fernando Lamas, Richard Pryor, and it was the writer of The Exorcist. And Johnny Carson was interviewing the writer of The Exorcist, and then Richard Pryor would climb in with a question, and then Fernando Lamas would climb in with a question. And I love those kinds of interviews where everybody feels involved, because, like, in the beginning, what would happen is we would have psychics on. And then what we, when Barbara was about ready to get involved with psychics on, and I shared it with Barbara. I shared the psychic experience of the psychic with Barbara, and that's what got her attention. I think she was like, "Oh my God!" That's what made her get the bug, so to speak, because Barbara got to talk to the psychics, and then she was like, "Oh my God, wait a minute! I can ask more questions. You're letting me ask more questions? Yes. Just keep going,
And then Lori even noticed that I was psychic, didn't you, Lori?
Well, it's getting to where when you're more comfortable in speaking about it, that gives me the impression that your psychic channels are opening up. And also whenever you've been, and whenever you've been talking, you're, I guess, filling out the rest of the sentence of somebody else that you're speaking to before they do. So that tells me that you're getting on the same intuitive wave as they are. So, yeah, I think your psychic abilities have really opened up a lot ever since you've been on the show. Of course, I didn't know you before. I did speak to you off air, I think, probably the second day or something that I called in. And
but I don't want to be a psychic. I just don't want everybody to think I'm trying to be one, because I don't. But just like you said, it's opening up the channels, and everybody's psychic. I just I tease Johnny.
100%.
You're not psychic,
100%.
but everybody is. Yeah, and so, but everybody has a little different way of tuning into their own psychic ability. But the meditation, when you start to talk about doing that, oh my gosh, that has worked so well for me. During stressful times, sometimes I will meditate every few hours. Just take 10 minutes, lay down, put that Zen music on or a guided meditation, and oh my gosh, then I could go on with my day and start to not be so scatterbrained, and then I could focus. And that helped me so much. And I know that you do that too.
I'm just like you. I don't want to be a psychic. I don't want people coming to me with psychic questions. I want to be appreciated for intuitive abilities and for basically being centered. And when you're centered from within, that's what's going to open up those channels for you. And being psychic, I don't like the word, frankly. I prefer intuitive, being grounded, being open to receive, being a channel for information. Because like you, Barbara, I don't want to ever be labeled as wanting to be psychic or anything like that, because that's not my calling in life. My calling is pretty much like yours, Jonathan. I want to be a vessel of information. I want to be helpful, and I want to be a facilitator of peace. That's what my whole calling is, facilitator of communication and peace and connecting people.
Okay, well, what did you think about when we went a little bit political? We stayed neutral, Johnny and I, but We were
Mm-hmm.
never going to bring politics on, but that was kind of hard to ignore when we're a show that Johnny says he wants people to come on and be heard. And what was going on politically, I mean, if we're a show, we've got to cover the important events in life. So what did you think about that?
I like it because you all provide the platform and called in, and I know all the same information she does, but I would refuse to talk politics. That's just not the way I want to present my ideas to the world. Let the politicians present politics. Do I have my opinion? Yes, I do. But I'm of the opinion that unless I spend, 4 years in the university talking and learning about politics, I am not going to have a platform because politics are, to me, you have to have a lot of background, research, and education to speak properly. Do I have that? No. So I would not speak on politics. And I like the way that you all handled yourselves in the sense of you provided the platform, you stayed neutral, and absolutely, Barbara, I agree with you. You can't ignore the politics because they're screaming loud in your face. America is on fire. We talk to people from all around the world, our friends. We talk to people from all around the world, and they call scared. What's going on down there? Oh, my God. They call us scared. And my husband and I just diffuse it and say, honestly, just worry about what's going on in your own country. We really don't have a grip on what's going on in ours. If we need to contact you for anything, we will. But you know what? Just let the politicians do their thing and just try to keep yourself happy. And that's our response.
That really did. Yes, that's good. That really did help Laura so much to be able to have a voice when she called in a couple of times just to say her part in it. And because you know what, people have to release that somewhere, and that I felt like it was really helpful to her. And another guy who called in, he's like, "Oh, I wish there were more shows like yours where we could come and just express ourselves and our thoughts."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
exactly. It was beautiful. It was really, really homogenous, really, really bipartisan, and you guys did an excellent job on the way that was all handled. You didn't get your hands into the muddy water, which was awesome, but by the same token, I'm with you. You can't ignore the obvious because, like I said, people from around the world, my friends in France, in Togo, Morocco, England, I mean, all these people are calling us, freaking out. So obviously when people are asking us about American politics, how can you ignore that?
Right. And the coronavirus. We've done a lot on that, too. We had a scientist.
Yeah.
How great is it to be able to call upon a scientist, Johnny found, to get scientific information, which we're going to have
talked to him today, by the way. I talked
on.
to him today, by the way. Because, see,
what
in the,
is
in the
his
United
name again?
Kingdom, his name is James Gideon. I talked to him today. Apparently, they have okayed the vaccine for the United Kingdom.
Right. I heard that yesterday.
Wow.
Did you hear that, Lori?
That's awesome. Yeah.
When I say
no,
okay, I don't mean research. I mean okay, meaning that it's okay for emergency use, and that means that we're on it's on the next step would be us because we're in we're in pretty good communication with the United Kingdom. So,
well, yeah,
we're 2 weeks away.
Some people,
same thing.
But you guys, Joyce Keller, I mean, she's totally against it, and there are some people. That's why I want to have the scientists on. Then I want to have some people who are very afraid of it, which I heard a whole documentary about how so many people, percentage-wise, are not going to jump right in, even including nurses, and taking it because they want to know how is it going to really affect you long term. So we are going to have those people on.
I'm going to tell you something else. And I saw this, and I don't blame anybody for it. I blame Facebook because this is ridiculous. Okay. Barbara posted in the Facebook group, that there was some fear involving the vaccine being, affecting the DNA or something. And then what happened was it got flagged for being fake news.
Really?
I don't know if you saw that. And it was like, I saw this big flag, and it's like, and that's not fair. Barbara was just posting something that she thought might, she has the right to say what she thinks might happen. Okay?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that, Barbara is probably open to being wrong, or would rather she be
But
wrong.
it wasn't mine. I shared a doctor's thing from Instagram. It wasn't my thoughts. I was forwarding
I understand.
info.
I mean, the point is a lot of
to
people
know
don't
that.
understand how willing you are to be wrong about this. I mean, it's just all you're doing when you're posting a story like that, you're doing actually two things. You're saying, is this true? And then there's another thing. If it isn't true, shoot it down. So, I mean, that's what Barbara's doing. She's not a robot.
This is bigger than that.
Not,
this is much bigger than that. This is Facebook acting like a publisher, okay? This is Facebook acting like a publisher, and that goes against everything that they're allowed to do on a publicly traded platform. So that is, in my opinion, something that needs to be dealt with at a much higher level. Because if you're reposting something, don't we live in America? Shouldn't we be able to do that?
Yeah. I think that's a big deal right now. There are people are complaining about Facebook doing this, and Twitter as well.
Well,
Exactly. So
that's another
the problem is a lot bigger than just reposting
That's
something.
another reason.
It's taking away your right as an American citizen. That's taking away your voice. Remember?
Right.
What is it? Freedom of speech?
Is it the
Does that
Second Amendment? What amendment is it? It's an amendment.
Right. Isn't that the Fourth Amendment? Second is guns. Is that the Fourth or Fifth Amendment?
Guns.
Freedom of speech, is that the first?
Freedom of speech.
First.
But what I was
okay,
say,
first.
It's important.
So what I was going to say is about the First Amendment is that like the reason people, when I first started on the Roku, I had one main question that I get asked a lot is, well, why not just do YouTube? I mean, how is it different than Roku? And the difference is that I've heard of some people being pretty darn censored on YouTube. I've heard of cases where, and I haven't experienced a lot of it on myself. But I've heard some stories to where it's like, okay, look, I don't think this is right. I mean, they took the show down. I mean, in Roku, it seems to me there isn't a whole lot of censorship. Where I've had some people complain about video. I've heard some people get their videos taken down, which absolutely has nothing to do with they didn't do anything. This person didn't do anything. And the videos get sort of, they sort of get turned around and they hear the story and they don't know the story behind the video. And
they get strikes. What happens is they get strikes on YouTube, and you get a certain amount of strikes, and then they take down your channel. They suspend you for, 2 weeks, a month indefinitely. And again, that is YouTube acting like a publisher and taking away your freedom of speech. So that goes a lot bigger than just them not liking you. Whenever you change roles and you become a publisher, well, that means something totally different. You can't do that. You can't do that if you're going to operate under FCC guidelines. So that opens up a whole different can of worms. Last time I checked, we do not live in, Honduras, Nicaragua, any of those countries that are censored, Japan, China. We don't live in the
Korea.
Right.
Yeah.
We live in a free republic. We live we have freedom of speech. So those kind of things are very alarming. That's why I don't talk about politics, because I would be livid if somebody shut me down. So that's why I don't talk about politics. I do my research.
There's a few
I do my
platforms
research.
now new. There's new
Mhm.
platforms that are just like Facebook. People are like, are you on this yet? Are you on that yet? Oh, my gosh, Lori and Johnny, I don't know how many more I can handle. We have
BitChute,
Facebook,
there's
Twitter.
Rumble,
There's so many.
HugeTube, BitChute, Rumble. There's all of these other alternative platforms.
Parlor.
Whenever people get suspended from YouTube and Facebook, they go on other platforms. I'm on a totally different platform than Facebook. It's called Right Social.
Oh.
Social. It's
I'm gonna
going to
look
be
that
the new.
up right now.
It's going to be the new Facebook, and it is completely uncensored. Completely.
Oh.
Right
I'm looking
Social.
that up right now.
Or Inked, INKD, no apostrophe, inkedsocial.com, rightsocial.net. That's the new answer to Facebook. You will not get censored.
RightSocial.net.
Or inkedsocial.com. Because it's nonsense for someone to basically suppress your freedom of speech. So as a writer, every time I'd go on Facebook and I'd write, a 3 sentence haiku or, a little poem or my opinion on something, it would blow up. It would go all over the place, and I would get hacked. So Facebook was never the kind of platform for me as a writer. And
yes, I'm looking did you say, sorry to interrupt you, Inked, INK apostrophe D social? Inked
no
social?
apostrophe. No apostrophe. Inked, INKD.
Oh. Because this is another one I looked up, and it says fighting against censorship, supporting creativity, and making change happen. So there's even another one I just found, Inked. So there's lots of them out there. But that's great that you're telling us about yours, because we'll check it out. And that's so good for people like you as a writer to not fear. After all the work that you are doing, writing something, and then it just gets taken down. Now you could have these other platforms where that's not going to happen.
Exactly. Rumble, YouTube. There's all sorts of places where I watch alternative news. I don't watch mainstream news. I watch alternative news. So these people get taken down off of YouTube, and they go on all these other platforms. And, I don't always follow them. I pick up others, but it takes up a lot of time to watch a lot of their shows. So what I do is I'll play them, and I'll do the other things in my life that I need to keep them going on in the background.
Like laundry.
Exactly.
Just always have a podcast on in the background. I love doing that.
I don't have on the television. I can't, because I'm sensitive, and when the news starts getting really intense, or when they start outright lying, I get very anxious and I have to shut it off.
Well, yeah, I cry. I'm sensitive too.
Yeah, I do too, and I can't watch a lot of American movies. I watch a lot of foreign movies.
I was going to tell Barbara, this is a discussion that I had with Lori, and you're going to, I hope you understand why I say this, because I cannot watch a movie where a woman is hurt, like murdered, people are murdered, even though it's not real. And I was telling Lori, I said I could not watch a movie where Barbara was in it and she is murdered. I wouldn't be able to watch it.
Yeah, I don't do that anyway. I'm just made a point of it. I never would take a movie that I was offered, because one time I won a Halloween costume contest, and I won a part in a horror movie, and I said no. I don't want to be in one. I just didn't. I thought it was just too negative. It's just I just am not interested in being in it.
What was the horror movie?
I don't know. It was probably just a dumb beat one. It was just on Sunset Boulevard. It was a funny competition contest, and I don't even know. I do not know what it was.
See, that's your intuitive telling you
know.
that you don't like that. That's really good,
Yeah.
Barbara. That's
you.
your intuitive
Yeah.
higher self telling you this doesn't feel good. And that's what being intuitive is all about. Does this feel good? Does it not feel good? Is it welcoming and inviting? I'll roll with it. There's a disconnect. I don't like it. That's not for me. And that's the best way.
And it protects me, my good intuition.
Mhm.
Yes. So it's all been good. I think we have learned a lot. I think we've grown in a positive way because of the show, Johnny and I doing it, and it sounds like you listening to it. It's been positive for you too. So that is so great to hear.
Well, you know what? A lot of people, in lieu of our political landscape, they feel like if they're alone. So when you get to go on a show like yours, and people are all mature, positive, respectful, open-minded, willing to engage, wanting to learn, I think that's what everybody wants. Everybody wants a place where they, like Cheers, right, Johnny? A place where everybody knows your name, where you belong. Like the Johnny Carson show, like the Andy Griffith show, like all these shows that made us feel. Yes, like Friends.
Well, except I would not.
Happy
except
Days.
the show's not named after a particular person. I wouldn't do that. We would over. Yeah, it's but I know what you're saying.
It's the feel. We're talking, I think, about the atmosphere that you guys present. Not so much as the name, but the umbrella, the overall umbrella feeling of this show with the subtopic of psychics, this show with the subtopic from Hawaii, one of Barbara's friends. That was an excellent show. I don't think it was political.
Albert Lanier,
yes.
The writer. Yes.
That was an awesome show.
Oh, yeah. Oh, good. See, Johnny, it wasn't boring.
What?
Oh. Well,
what was that?
I don't know. Sometimes he thinks that some of them are boring.
No, it was
maybe
really
not boring to
interesting.
everybody, but the whole point is that everybody's allowed on. I can't promise that everything's going to be interesting to everybody, but I can. But I allow for a multitude of topics to be discussed. It makes everybody feel like they're a part of things.
And that's a good thing, though. Your show isn't the same day after day, week after week, month after month. That is the good thing about an ever-evolving show is that, let's say you're looking at the lineup for the week. Oh, I'm definitely going to listen on Thursday because there's going to be this guest co-host, Carly. I loved her. I started watching her show on.
Yes, the comedian.
Yes, she was awesome. Her show was so cute, and I would have never known who she was had I not listened to you guys have an interview with her.
That's right. I loved her too. Does Johnny remember her? Johnny, remember?
I remember her. I was
and she does yoga
comedy.
comedy. Yoga comedy too. She has yoga class comedy.
Oh, wow.
I tried to get her back on, but she wasn't interested. I remember who she was. Yeah, Carla Collins.
Okay. Well, that was a really interesting show. That was a very, very interesting show. And it was a different topic altogether. I mean, you guys have had a lot of different topics that they don't come to mind right away, but I'll think of the fun times that I've had listening to the shows, and then I'll remember. And there'll be a whole slew of different topics. And that's
she probably she wants to make money. I know that very well. And if she's going to come on and just basically say the same thing, she already said her piece, what she wanted to say, and now it's time to, if anybody wants to listen to her again, they better pay. She's in it for the money. She has a Netflix show.
Well, then tell her
Mm-hmm.
when you've got something that you want to promote. Give us, we'll give you the platform. We'll talk about it. Just tell her whenever you want to be promoted. We've got this platform, and let us know if you got a new show, if you're having a new appearance or whatever. You can understand that, because that's why I don't call into the psychic shows, because Joyce wants people to call her for psychic readings. So the same people can't be, in my view, me. I can't be calling her or calling in all the time to get a reading from her. You have to go on to the next point and book a reading after you've gotten a taste of her great readings. And by the way, on Joyce, I'm sorry, it's not Joyce. I'm thinking of the Friday lady.
Dale.
What is her?
Dale Shear.
Okay,
Right.
Dale. All right. Every time Dale is on, I need to have a pen and paper to take notes, because she drops these little pearls of wisdom that are just amazing. Little pearls of wisdom. She doesn't even realize how much she's doing it. I mean, she needs to be on a show, no callers, where you guys just flat out interview her about her fascinating life. She's done a lot.
We plan on doing just that. We've been on for a little over an hour, so I'm worried about us being cut off. But thank you for setting for this idea, Barbara. That was a really great idea.
Oh, you're welcome. And thank you, Lori, and thank you, Johnny, for your input on it. And yes, I write notes. They're everywhere around the house. And, I just started looking through them, and I thought, hey, let's just talk about how it's changed our lives and what we like about it. And then have you call in to get your input as a listener too, Lori. That was even better. So thank you.
Now,
well, you guys have an amazing platform.
Thank you. Well, Lori, do you want us to shout out where we can find you? I want to plug you with what you're doing. You're a writer. Is there anything you would like to tell the audience to look out for right now with you?
Ink Social. InkSocial.com, WriteSocial.net. I'm there. It is a very, very safe, secure, private platform. Nobody is going to put the shadow over your account and, put the nasty little stinger that says that this content is disputed. None of that will happen. So that's where I'm at. That's where you can find me.
What's your last name?
Very unique. What's my last name, Jonathan?
Lori, I'm about to pronounce it. Yeah, it's
Jermoon.
What?
Jermoon.
What did you say? Oh, Jermoon.
Jermoon.
Yeah.
Okay.
How do you spell it? J.
Moune.
Okay. Is that like French?
Very French, yes.
Yeah. See, I know names, Lori. Been around the world signing autographs, and I really have a feel for how to spell them. And because I thought it said G, but I said J, and I could tell it was French. Oh, cool. Well, that's awesome. Okay, everybody, so follow Lori. Moon. Did I pronounce that correctly?
You sure did.
Okay. On Ink, did you say?
Ink Social. No apostrophe. Ink.
Okay. Ink Social.
.com or WriteSocial.net.
And WriteSocial.net. And follow her. She's a writer. She's amazing. And also, if you want to listen to this show again, you can find this show and all of our other shows on our YouTube channel, Life, Laughter, Happiness. Please subscribe. Also, I've been posting a lot on our group. I like the Life, Laughter, Happiness group page, and we have a lot of people constantly joining. It makes me feel good that they care and they're loyal, like yourself, Lori. Twitter and Instagram, too. That's always fun. So thanks, everybody, and thank you, Johnny and Lori. And I hope everybody has a wonderful night.
Yes.
Thank y'all.
Well, good night, everyone. And
We're
good night,
signing
Lori.
off from Life, Laughter, Happiness.
Good night, Barbara.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.